Good morning, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV. And as always, we are brought to you by our good friends at topsport.com.au. And it is a Monday morning, and because it is a Monday morning, we welcome back old mate Benyam Kidane from NBA Australia. BK, how are you, sir?
I'm living good, my man. How you doing?
Not so good, actually, if we're being completely honest. It wasn't a good weekend for me, and pretty much the main reason for that is I'm a New York Knicks fan, BK, and it's just not looking good. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but first, let's go around the NBA. We've got a lot to talk about. We'll start with some Aussie news. There was reports yesterday that Dante Exum will be signing a 3-month deal with Barcelona. Which is good for him. You know, I think this is going to be a good move for Dante. He will probably be going over there as sort of an injury replacement for Nick Metallinos. But I'm looking at this as a good way for him to sort of, you know, kickstart some interest back into his NBA career. BK, what did you make of that report yesterday?
Yeah, pretty interesting. And like you said, I think it's a good move for Dante in terms of just getting back out on the court. You know, we haven't really seen him in action since preseason. He popped up at some of those Klay Thompson scrimmages out in Golden State a couple of weeks back. But for him, you know, signing a 3-month deal will then allow him, you know, to maybe make his way back over to the NBA before the playoff rosters are set. So I think that's the biggest takeaway I took from that in terms of him getting back on court, showing, you know, that he is healthy again, still can be a productive player. We saw that in Tokyo at the Olympics. He was great for the Boomers. So if he can have a nice stint, a short one, I guess, over in Europe, and then potentially make his way back over in time for the playoffs, I think that'd be the best case scenario for Dante Exum.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that, BK. I actually thought he showed enough in Tokyo and then early parts of, you know, preseason to sort of earn himself a roster berth in the NBA, but didn't work out for him. So hopefully, I mean, Barcelona is a powerhouse and you play in the EuroLeague over there. So hopefully he gets to sort of, you know, get some good minutes on court and get to show that he does belong back in the NBA. BK, another side I want to talk to you about in the NBA right now that is on a 4-game winning streak, the San Antonio Spurs, BK. They beat the Warriors yesterday 112-107. Greg Popovich has made some adjustments to the roster. Feels like he's tightened it up a little bit. They only played, I think, 9, maybe 10 players yesterday. They've got the Suns, Knicks, Nuggets twice, Pelicans and Charlotte coming up. So it could be a nice little opportunity for them to maybe extend that winning streak a little bit longer, BK.
Yeah, I mean, they started the season very, very poorly. I think they were 3-7. Derek White hadn't really gotten going until this streak, and he was great yesterday against the Warriors. I think he had about 25 points. Dejounte Murray, he's been, you know, probably a candidate for most improved player of the year, you know, hovering around that triple-double mark. So they're getting these young guys all kind of firing at the right time, and you can see it's sort of starting to click. This is still a very, very young team, but a 4-game winning streak, and against good opposition as well, the Celtics, Wizards, Blazers, and the Warriors. That'll do wonders for their confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Spurs, they're not really in these kinds of positions too often, are they? Where they've got to sort of rebuild and bring these youngsters up from, you know, and develop them from a younger age. Still no Jock Landale, though. You know, I thought maybe once he came back out of those health and safety protocols, we might have seen him a little bit more, but we haven't seen him as of yet. Well, he didn't play yesterday.
Yeah, free my man Jock. You know, he's gotten spot minutes here and there, and he's been productive in those minutes. But yeah, unfortunately, hasn't really been able to get any consistent kind of run with this San Antonio Spurs team. And it's a situation where I think he can actually help. You know, the short kind of burst. He's very active around the rim. He's a great pick and roll player, and he can shoot the ball from distance as well. So I mean, it is a long season, and you know, things do change and rotations do change. So I'm still optimistic that, you know, he'll be able to find his way in this team, but it's been a slow start for him to start his NBA career.
Yeah, I don't see the Spurs as contending for a playoff, you know, spot. So I think as the season goes on and those games kind of get a little bit more, for the lack of a better term, meaningless, I do think he'll be getting a lot more minutes towards the end of the season. BK, Another team over in the Western Conference that I want to talk to you about. We kind of, we've spoken about them a little bit over the last few weeks. The Portland Trailblazers, BK. They lost yesterday 145-117 at home to Boston, 11-13 on the season. It was actually a rare loss at home because they're 10-3 at the Motor Center. They're just 1-10 on the road, BK. You wrote a piece about the Boston Celtics win for NBA Australia yesterday. I'm watching Portland, BK, and honestly, I just don't know what is going on over there. The team doesn't look like it's got any chemistry. They don't even look like they're actually motivated. And head coach Chauncey Billups, had a pretty damning quote after the game yesterday. He said, "I've never seen a team that needs its bench to inspire our starters. That shit is crazy to me. It's supposed to be the other way around." The Blazers were playing without Dame Lillard, but there was no Horford and no Jaylen Brown for the Celtics. BK, we've asked this question a couple of times this season, but what the hell is going on in Portland?
It's a confusing team, the Trailblazers. Like you said, they're 10-3 at home and pretty much the reverse away from home. They've been awful on the road. They're a top 5 offense, but they're the worst defense in the league. So, is it effort? Damian Lillard hasn't been there, but that's not necessarily changing the defense that much. They're getting killed on the glass. They're not rebounding the ball. And, we saw Schroeder and Tatum both just kind of stroll into the lane whenever they wanted, both putting up 30 balls yesterday. So it's a tough one for Chauncey Billups as a first-year head coach. This is a team that has experienced players, guys that have been in this league for a while. And the fact that, they're not a great defensive team, but they've always been okay. To be 30th in the league through 24 games. This is kind of the point of the season where you start to see these trends, after this sample size that, maybe this is what these kind of teams are. And for them to be defending this poorly, for a team that has playoff aspirations and, 2-star guys like Lillard and McCollum, it's concerning, to say the least, for the Trailblazers.
Yeah, I look at this squad, BK, and I just feel like maybe they've been together a couple of seasons too long now. I'm looking at it now. You got to look at a guy like Dame Lillard, who there's been talk of, does he want out? Is he going to ask for a trade? I kind of feel like he might just be available in February when that trade deadline comes around now.
Yeah, this team kind of does give you the vibe that maybe it has run its course. The CJ and Dame backcourt pairing has been a conversation for basically as long as they've existed in terms of them coexisting as a tandem. So, if things kind of get to the point maybe by the trade deadline where they haven't improved, I wouldn't be surprised if either, maybe Dame or CJ, is the piece that they maybe move and try and start again. Because if, you've got these two guys you're paying a ton of money to and the results just aren't really there. They had that one run in 2019 when they made the Western Conference Finals. But outside of that, they haven't really had a ton of playoff success.
That is definitely one to keep an eye on. And if Dame does become available, I hope that the New York Knicks go for him, BK. We're going to talk about the Knicks now. They are the source of my anguish over this weekend. They ruined my whole weekend, BK. The season was so promising. We were in that bing bong era of the Knicks, and it's just all turned to shit, pardon my language. Fallen below 500, 11-12 on the season. They've lost 3 in a row, have not won since they've demoted Kemba Walker. The team was booed yesterday. They were down 30 points in the fourth quarter. That is the first time the Knicks have been below 500 since they were 16-17 after 33 games during the 2020-21 season. BK, there was a quote from Julius Randle yesterday. He said, look, we're not the superstars, 3-4 superstars on the team like Brooklyn. We're a team. How we were last year is how we have to be this year as well. We built this team around defense, togetherness, the effort, the hustle plays. That's what the fans love when they know we're out there giving it our all. I think sometimes we're too lax. BK, I think that's actually being too kind because I'm looking at this New York Knicks team. There is no defensive effort from them whatsoever. They were 4th in defense last year. They slipped to 19th after the loss on the weekend. And quite honestly, why do my sports teams do this to me, BK? I'm just lost for words.
You're a Knicks fan. You should be used to this by now. But I think you hit the nail on the head. Lax really is the word, because it does just seem like an effort thing. We've seen so many missed rotations, the miscommunication on defense. They don't really seem like that's their identity. And it's not just one guy. You can't look all the way down the roster. I mean, that was one of the main issues in sending Kemba Walker to the bench. Evan Fournier's had his struggles as well, as defensively at the point of attack. They're just giving up too much, and yes, you have guys in the paint that can defend and you have athletic defenders, but if you're getting blitzed off the 3-point line, it just collapses everything. So, I mean, I don't know what the answer is for the New York Knicks. I mean, I'm a Kemba Walker fan. I was really hoping this would work out, but I mean, Derrick Rose has kind of looked like their best point guard so far this season. So, if that's the case, this is the guy who's supposed to be, your second, third guy that comes in to help close games. And yeah, I just don't really know. I'm not sure if it's, do the Knicks make a move or is it just they've got to get back under that Tom Thibodeau intensity that they were so great with last season?
I definitely think they need to make a move. They do need to increase that defensive intensity as well. I saw a play from Julius, and I'm a huge Julius Randle guy, but I saw a play from him. He was not tracking back. He looked like he was just out there having a bit of a stroll in the park as, guys were just going to the bucket. So it does start with your best player, and it's got to start with Julius Randle. He's acknowledged that. We'll see what happens with that moving forward, but I know there's a few more days of anguish for me this season. BK, a team that could be falling down the table now, the Charlotte Hornets. They've lost their last 3 games in a row. LaMelo Ball has been placed into health and safety protocols alongside teammates Terry Rozier, Jalen McDaniels, and Mason Plumlee. Ball is leading the team in scoring, rebounding, assists, and steals. He's going to be out, we imagine, for about 10 days, which is what, the approximate time frame that everyone else has been out for regarding health and safety protocols, BK. Their schedule over the next 5 games, they've got the Hawks today, 2 home games against the 76ers, 1 against the Kings, then they go away to the Mavericks, BK. Are they going to free fall down the standings?
Look, that's definitely a possibility. And when you miss LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier, they're 2 of your top 4 scorers. So there's just a lot of offense that they have to find in the interim. Guys like Kelly Oubre will have to step into larger roles. Guys like Gordon Hayward as well. But the big one for me is Ish Smith. We've seen him in spurts so far this season. Is he going to be able to come in and take over the ball handling duties and at least keep things ticking over until both Rozier and LaMelo Ball get out of those protocols? And it may be sooner than the 10 days. We saw LeBron return 2 negative tests and was back on the court in a couple of days. So it may not be all doom and gloom for the Hornets, but at this point with that upcoming schedule, they're 13 and 11 on the season. They're 7th in the Eastern Conference. There is a little bit of a logjam there, so they could well slide down the standings a little bit if they go through a little bit of a funk over the next 10 days.
Yeah, you would hope, as far as the guys being that it's not 10 days, because I just don't think that they have the depth to sort of cover those losses for that extended period of time. I mean, you look at a team like Philadelphia. Philadelphia didn't even have that kind of depth when Embiid and Tobias and all these guys were out injured. They really struggled, and they're sort of trying to get their way back up. Now, BK, let's take a look at some of the games that we have on today. Only 3 games remaining for the day. We've got the Wizards and the Raptors. The Raptors slight favourites here, $1.90. The Wizards are $1.97. The line is at 2 and the total's at 212. That one's live on League Pass. BK, Wizards 4-6 in their last 10. The Raps are 3-7 in their last 10, but they're 7-5 at home, and this one's at home. I picked against the Raptors last week at home, and I was correct on that one there. Actually, I was wrong. No, the Bucks won that one, didn't they? No, the Bucks lost, I mean. But I am picking the Raptors at home today.
Hey, that's my squad. I always rock with the Raptors at Scotiabank Arena, so I'm going to stick with you on this one.
Yeah, I think that one's pretty cut and dried, that one there. Next up, we've got the Hornets at the Atlanta Hawks. The Hornets slumping, missing too many players here, and the Hawks are big favourites. $1.37. The Hornets $3.30. The line is at 6.5, and the total is at 219.5. I think those odds pretty much speak for themselves. I think Atlanta pretty easily.
I think so too, especially just given the the outs that we just mentioned for the Charlotte Hornets. The Hawks are rolling. They're back.
They are. The Hawks are back, and like you said, there's too many outs. I don't think the Hornets have the depth to cover it. And the last game for today, the New Orleans Pelicans against the surging Houston Rockets. The Rockets have the biggest winning streak in the league at the moment at 5 games. And surprisingly, they're not favorites here, BK. The Houston Rockets paying $2.20, the Pelicans $1.72. The line's at 2.5, and the total's at 220.5. BK. You know what? Pelicans are favorites. I don't know why. I'm going with the Rockets to extend that winning streak to 6.
I'm gonna go against you here. I'm gonna go with the New Orleans Pelicans. They started the season horribly, but I think over the last 12 games they're about 6-6. So Jonas Valanciunas is playing crazy right now. So I'm gonna go with New Orleans in this one.
He has been playing absolutely crazy. Look, I can see that, but I just don't know. The Rockets, you said 6-6 over their last, 12 games, but I'm going on current form, and 5 in a row, it just really speaks to me much louder than 6-6 over the last 12. We shall wait and see what happens with that one there. BK, we're going to get out of here. We're going to let you get on with your day. You'll be back on Friday morning as usual. This has been another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV. As always, brought to you by our good friends at topsport.com.au, and we shall see you guys on Wednesday morning with a very special guest.
You and me both. That was good, man. I enjoyed that one.